This year's box office is absolutely bonkers. Out of the 10 highest-grossing Hollywood movies of 2025, only one crossed $1 billion. 3 are technically flops, despite making hundreds of millions. Superhero movies keep tanking. Live-action remakes print money even when nobody wants them, and the only original film in the top 10 is literally Brad Pitt driving in circles. All the numbers I'm going through are as of this past weekend. No anime, no Chinese cartoons, just the Hollywood winners, including the ones that secretly bombed. 10th highest grossing movie of the year, and yet a flop. The MCU got the message. People didn't want Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Brave New World joined the growing list of Marvel flops, sitting in the franchise's bottom 10 for box office. All those rewrites and reshoots ballooned the budget to something north of $250 million, maybe even more. The official break-even was reported as $425 million, but the real number probably landed higher. Marvel's own creative team had to step in before the premiere, already running defense because of bad early audience reactions and non-stop reshoots. The director and producer spent their press tour claiming everything was over-reported, that fans would be surprised and impressed now that the movie could speak for itself. Yeah, it did, and nobody liked what it said. Even Kevin Feige said the film struggled because it was the first without Chris Evans. It's blunt, but that's how they're spinning it. This isn't on Anthony Mackie. The studio set him up to fail. His whole becoming Cap arc got dumped into The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which fewer people watch than any mainline movie. And that series turned out better than the film itself. Brave New World's failure followed a run of disasters for Marvel, from The Marvels to Quantumania to Eternals and Black Widow. And now Bob Iger ordered Marvel to bring back the familiar faces for the next Avengers Doomsday. They're gonna pay Downey Jr. $100 million to save the franchise. Let's see if he will. Some people said Last Rites pulled an Avengers Endgame for horror. The opening numbers back that up, biggest global launch ever for a horror film, and no sign of slowing down. It became the top-grossing horror movie of 2025, beat out Sinners, Weapons, and 28 years later. The Conjuring remains the highest-earning horror franchise in history, and even mixed reviews couldn't scare off the crowds. The film sat at 59% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not great, not a disaster, just not what you'd want from a final chapter. The reviews called it safe, not memorable enough, but none of that stopped the box office. The studio said they wanted to end The Conjuring on their own terms, but money talked. After Last Rites broke records, a prequel already went into development. This time, there's talk that James Wan might step away. The director put it plainly, "We wanted to end with confidence and on our own terms." That sounded good, but the franchise keeps moving anyway. Cash cows don't get to retire. Marvel's year just kept spiraling. 3 superhero films, 3 disappointments. Even Disney called out both Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts as major busts in their investor reports. The Fantastic Four didn't fare much better. The opening weekend looked solid, but the film crashed by 80% in its second week, front-loaded and finished. Disney spent at least $200 million making it, but real insiders say the true budget, after reshoots, ran north of $350 million. That meant the break-even point jumped to $875 million. The movie ended at $521. Marvel hoped this would be the hit after 2 misses earlier in the year. It never broke out past the comic book crowd. Once the diehards bought tickets, the wider audience just didn't show. Marvel immediately announced a long hiatus and pushed both Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars to later dates. Honestly, I'm still surprised the superhero craze lasted this long. Here's my call. I don't think we'll ever see another superhero movie hit $1 billion again. Doomsday will settle the argument. If Marvel can't bring back the crowd for that one, the era's over. This one turned out to be the year's most expensive movie. It was supposed to be Ethan Hunt's grand finale, but what actually hit theaters was a 3-hour maze with too many moving parts. The longest Mission Impossible yet, and not in a good way. With a budget right around $400 million, the film needed to make something like $1 billion just to break even. It didn't even come close. $591 million worldwide is the final number. So Paramount and Tom Cruise have to settle for that, at least for now. The reviews weren't great, only the original trilogy got a colder reception. People actually liked Dead Reckoning better than this one. The stunts were still there. Tom Cruise hanging off a mid-air biplane doing the sunken submarine thing, but none of it really stuck. Cruise has done crazier stuff in other movies, and the big biplane moment felt way too much like Rogue Nation's hanging off a plane sequence. There is one small win in all this. Cruise finally has the chance to try something different, maybe something that doesn't involve hanging off of airplanes at 60. Paramount actually revealed that they still make $10 million a year from the original Mission Impossible just from video on demand and streaming. So, in the long run, Final Reckoning will probably turn a profit, just not anytime soon. For a $400 million movie, it's more of a lifelong investment that'll keep trickling in cash from TV airings and streaming. I gotta admit, a lot of people, including me, expected Superman to flop. For a long time, DC Cinematic Universe could not compete with Marvel, just endless underperforming. So when James Gunn took over and launched this new Superman, most folks didn't expect much. Instead, Gunn delivered the biggest superhero box office of the year, $615 million worldwide, with a reported $225 million budget. Warner Brothers even greenlit a sequel before this one finished its theatrical run. Man of Tomorrow is already in the pipeline for 2027. Gunn himself basically leaked half the plot online already. Now, Warner Brothers is quick to declare Superman profitable, but there's still a lot of noise about the break-even point. Gunn has shot down reports that the film needs $650 million to make money, calling that number absolutely false. He said nobody in their right mind would greenlight a first-in-franchise film that had to make that much just to break even. Warner Brothers says the real number is $500 million. Either way, the 45-day theatrical window, followed by quick digital release, pushed Superman to 615, so it seems they're in the clear. It's a massive win for Gunn, at least. This is the only original film in the top 10, and even then, it's only kind of original. Formula One, the movie, is tied to a global brand with massive reach, and they stacked it with Brad Pitt, Jerry Bruckheimer producing, and Joseph Kosinski directing. It has every classic summer blockbuster trick in the book. Box office was $626 million worldwide, with a budget somewhere between $200 and $300. Nobody at Apple seems to know the exact number, or they just don't want to say. Formula One is Brad Pitt's highest-grossing leading role. It set records for Apple original films, and it's the top auto racing film ever. But honestly, the best part is the business behind the scenes. David Leaner, the guy handling product placement, basically turned the whole movie into a brand showcase. Suits, helmets, cars, everything covered with more logos than a Formula One grid. Mercedes, Electronic Arts Sports, Expensify all dropped big money just to get their names on screen. Forbes figures Leaner brought in at least $40 million just from these sponsors, which actually covered a good chunk of the production budget. The story gets even better. After Leaner pulled in that much money for the film, Mercedes Formula One boss Toto Wolff straight up offered him a job on the spot. Jerry Bruckheimer was right there in the room. Leaner turned it down, of course. This year, live action is everywhere. Sure, things started rough. Disney's Snow White bombed out of the gate. But some of 2025's highest-grossing movies are live-action remakes. Case in point, How to Train Your Dragon. This one was pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the original animated film. No surprises, nothing added, nothing taken away, and still it ended up as the fourth highest-grossing movie of the year. That's what a strong brand gets you. Families and anyone feeling nostalgic for the original showed up big, blowing past opening weekend expectations. Universal's live-action Dragon took in $198 million right out of the gate, with 114 of that coming from international audiences. The production cost Universal $150 million, and they dropped another $100 just on marketing. Actually, PG-rated movies are the biggest hit this year. By the halfway mark of 2025, PG movies have already brought in $1.53 billion. It's 41% of total box office revenue this year. Dragon didn't just make money, it broke franchise records. It's now the top-grossing film in the How to Train Your Dragon universe, even though critics gave it the lowest ratings out of the bunch, which honestly makes sense. It's also Butler's highest-grossing movie ever, if you care about that sort of thing. But here's the part that bugs me. This is just going to open the door to even more DreamWorks franchises getting the same treatment. Nobody needs a live-action Shrek or Kung Fu Panda, but now it's almost guaranteed. Anyway, that's Hollywood. There's no killing this franchise. Jurassic World Rebirth proved it all over again. Brand new story, all new characters, and still landed in the top 3 highest-grossing Hollywood movies of 2025, pulling in $866 million. Not quite $1 billion like Jurassic World Dominion, but still impressive. Universal even brought the budget down a bit this time, just $180 million, which is tens of millions less than previous Jurassic entries. The director played coy about sequel plans, but Jurassic isn't going anywhere, especially with those returns. And honestly, they got clever with the story. Nothing in Rebirth affects the franchise lore at all. A bunch of mercenaries and a family show up on an island full of dinosaurs, do their thing, and then leave. And nothing in the actual Jurassic World changes. That actually means Universal didn't paint themselves into a corner with canon, so from here on out, it's wide open. Sequels, spin-offs, whatever they feel like. Universal's only real mistake was dropping it on streaming too early. If they'd waited a couple months, they could have re-released it in IMAX, pushed it past $1 billion easy, just like they did with the first Jurassic Park. Although now they've got all the room in the world to keep milking Jurassic until there's nothing left. Here's more proof that nothing beats a giant IP. Minecraft the game's sold over 300 million copies, and the movie nearly hit that $1 billion mark. Just missed it by a few million, but still outperformed every industry projection out there. The budget landed around $150 million, and about half the global box office came from North America. The critics didn't love it, said it felt cobbled together and lost all the charm of the game. The story follows 4 misfits who get yanked into the overworld. Basically your standard let's bring the game to life setup. But none of the reviews seem to stop families from filling the seats. Steve Buck at Intelligence pointed out that there was a late ticket surge and that the movie hit with all audiences. 1 out of 4 viewers was under 13, and over half were male. And when dads like a family film, that's a good thing. The opening was huge. 163 million domestic, 313 worldwide. Warner Brothers didn't hold back on the marketing either. They partnered with 45 brands, everyone from McDonald's to Doritos to Oreo. Basically, you couldn't escape Minecraft even in the grocery store. Here comes another live-action remake, this time with Disney turning the nostalgia dial all the way up. Lilo and Stitch got a few plot tweaks, but the real secret weapon was an absolutely massive marketing blitz and the IP's insane popularity. Disney said it wanted to slow down on these live-action remakes. But when you've got a brand raking in billions every year, it's hard to say no. Last year alone, Lilo and Stitch consumer products brought in more than $2.5 billion worldwide. It's one of Disney's 11 evergreen franchises that topped $1 billion in retail sales in 2024. On Disney+, the franchise is still growing, 546 million hours watched globally, and the original movie got over 280 million hours. That's a whole lot of Stitch. Marketing team went wild. Stitch popped up everywhere, from the Super Bowl, that 30-second spot racked up 173 million views in a day, to crashing the marketing for Marvel movies. There was even a TikTok-branded effect where you could dance next to Stitch. It all paid off. Memorial Day weekend brought in a record $183 million domestic, $341.7 million worldwide. Stitch was absolutely everywhere, and Disney made a killing at the box office.